Hey everybody, Kara Castronova here with Representative Byron Donalds, and we're talking about the SAVE Act. Everybody is talking about the SAVE Act and what you think of it. Will it get passed? How could people help to get that passed? So just start by telling our audience who doesn't know, but most of them do, what is the SAVE Act and why is it so important?
Well, the SAVE Act, I guess now being called the Save America Act, very simple piece of legislation, requires at its core that people have to show up with a voter ID to cast a ballot. They have to prove that they're an American citizen if they're going to be registered to vote. It's common sense policies that 80% of the American people support. The only thing that is holding this up, quite frankly, is the Senate filibuster. You have Senate Democrats who oppose it because they have no problems with illegals voting in our elections, and they have no problems with having a lot of funny business happen in these elections. We want to make sure we're protecting the American franchise, which is voting. And so it'll pass the House very easily. We're very certain about that. But this is something where the Senate is going to have to take action. And I also think this is where Leader Thune and the Senate Republicans are going to have to do what's right and just go to a talking filibuster. If Chuck Schumer or Elizabeth Warren want to go to the well of the Senate and explain to the American people why they oppose something as simple as voter ID, then they should be able to do that. But that doesn't mean they can't sit in their offices and not and just block us from moving that piece of legislation forward by withholding their vote. And I think that's wrong. The American people do not support that. So we need to get that moved. And so I call on Leader Thune to make sure that we get the Save America Act to the desk of President Trump. President Trump wants it. House Republicans want to get it done. There are many Senate Republicans, Rick Scott, Ashley Moody, Mike Lee, so many others who want to get this done. The Senate needs to act, do the right thing on behalf of America.
I know the typical excuses Democrats have for not wanting to implement voter ID requirements, but what have you heard from your colleagues that are Democrats? Why don't they think that that's important?
Oh, they don't even want to talk about it. Chuck Schumer came out the other day and said that it was Jim Crow 2.0, and I thought that was the stupidest statement I've ever heard in my life. Because let's be clear on the history. It's the Democrat Party that actually supported Jim Crow. They supported segregation. They supported slavery. It was the Republicans that have always supported civil rights, emancipation, abolishing slavery, and equal rights for everybody. And so you have a detestable statement by Chuck Schumer because he doesn't want to tell the truth. And the truth is that the Democrats have no problems with illegal aliens voting in our elections, and they have no problems with illegal aliens being used to essentially apportion congressional districts. We think that's wrong. The Save America Act is a major step in the right direction, not just for America today, but for America's future.
I always say if Democrats if all of a sudden illegal immigrants were going to start voting Republican, you would see how fast they would want to pass this legislation. It's simply ridiculous to me how hypocritical it is.
Listen, if Democrats felt that illegal aliens were going to be Republicans, they would secure the border and they would be championing ICE right now. And I think what's happening now in our country is so sick. It's so cynical. It's so political, and it doesn't have to be that way. We have a United States Constitution, the best governing document ever created. How about we do the novel thing and follow it? That's number one. Number two, the American people, it is their constitutional right and their God-given right to choose their leaders. So let's make sure that system is very clean, very straightforward, it is protected, and that there's no even potential for it to become fraudulent. Democrats should work with us to make sure that's a reality. But what do? They want mass mail-outs of mail-in ballots where you're not checking who people are. They don't want to clean up voting rolls. In the state of Minnesota, where they're having all that fraud, a voter in Minnesota can take 7 people to the polls and sponsor them to vote in an election. That's insane. That's crazy. So I think this is where we've come to. The Democrats are not interested in a vibrant constitutional republic. They are only interested in dominant power by any means necessary. And this is where, enough about them, let me talk about Republicans. This is where my colleagues in the Senate, Republican colleagues, they need to get it out of their minds that we are still in 1990s political arguments with the Democrats. This is not Bill Clinton's Democrat Party. It's definitely not JFK's Democrat Party. This is the party of Elizabeth Warren, AOC, Zora Mamdani, and Bernie Frank. Well, you might as well Bernie Frank and Bernie Sanders. Doesn't even matter whichever Bernie you want to choose. They are true radicals. They do not care about the construct of our nation, our Constitution, or the rights and the protections of the American people. So you cannot negotiate with this. What you have to do is win. Senate Republicans need to wake up, come to 2026, realize that their Democratic colleagues do not care about real debate and compromise. They want to win by any means necessary, and it's time for these same Senate Republicans, again, this ain't 1990s Washington, they need to wake up, change the filibuster, let's get the job done for the American people.
Last question on your governor's race. You have big shoes to fill. Everybody loves Ron DeSantis. It's big shoes to fill. What are your plans for Florida? A lot of people say it's the last bastion. Sort of everybody that wants to get out of New York, like me, always say, we're going to go to Florida. But if Florida ever turned blue, then that would be sort of a pipe dream taken away from so many people that think Florida is the last bastion of freedom. What are your plans as governor of Florida? What is the platform that you're running on?
Well, first things first, I'm a Tea Party conservative. That's how I got into politics. The governor and I, when it comes to conservative philosophy, we agree. The political framework of Florida, being the free state of Florida, being a state governed by conservatism and common sense, that is going to remain. It will not change in our state. Number two, we're also going to be focused on building out the future of our state. Because here's the truth. People, like you said, they're going to want to come from New York because it's terrible. Mamdani let 16 people freeze to death on the streets. What kind of mayor is that? The guy's out of his mind. Or Chicago or anywhere else like that. They're going to want to come to our state. We have to be prepared for the future. Our government has to be far more efficient than it's been in the past. You want to talk about affordability? You want to lower costs for people? Government costs have to get out of the way. Building new homes, we got to be efficient. Building new commercial centers, we got to be efficient. We have to expand our economies. I believe Florida is going to be the financial hub in a decade. We're going to be a major tech hub because of all the space launches at Kennedy Space Center. We have to prepare for all that growth while also protecting our environment, protecting our ag lands, protecting the rural fringe and our beaches, the things that make Florida, Florida. But we're the best state in the country. We're going to continue to be the best state in the country.
You guys agree with the Second Amendment.
Don't even listen to Georgia over there trying to say, don't worry about it, Georgia. We're the best state in the country. It's okay.
Medical freedom you're big on.
Yes, big time. What we want to make sure is that we have informed consent in our state. Parents, they're really the head of the table. They make decisions on behalf of their children. There's going to be some debates around polio, the polio vaccine, the MMR vaccine. Those are statutory vaccines in the state of Florida. But all of the rulemaking vaccines, the governor, and to his credit, and the Surgeon General are already removing those rulemaking vaccines, getting that out of the prescribed menu. I think in terms of vaccines writ large, we need to look at spreading out that schedule again. It's become very compressed. I have 3 sons, 22, 18, 14. The vaccine schedule for my 22-year-old is different for my 14-year-olds. And I think that what we have to do is make sure parents are in the driver's seat when it comes to the health and welfare of their children. In Florida, we've led the way on school choice. We're going to also lead the way on medical freedom.
Thank you so much. I'm praying for you in your race, and keep doing the good work that you're doing as a representative in the House.
Thank you.